Bienvenidos a Negocios con BISILA BOKOKO. Welcome to Negocios with BISILA BOKOKO. Today I'm here with Luisa Mendoza, and we're going to speak about marketing related to sports and tourism. Actually, it's things that in Spain we are very interested about. So we are very excited about to speak with you today. Luisa, how are you today?
I'm doing wonderful, Visilia. Thank you so much for having me on your show. Delighted to be here and looking forward to this wonderful conversation when it comes to the world of sports and tourism.
Well, I would like to know how you believe that your background impacted your career choices.
Oh, that's such a great question. So I was born in Bogota, Colombia. And moved to the United States when I was 4 years old. And very early on, I had the opportunity to go from Colombia to the United States, and I got to see firsthand the impact that traveling and learning different cultures does. And I just became fascinated with traveling because my life changed forever going from one culture to the next. Also, so that's the tourism component. Como buena colombiana, I love sports. And I think when you're Colombian, you're born with your pacifier and your soccer ball and the next. So while unfortunately I don't play soccer, sports has always been something that has brought the family together, whether it was watching the World Cup or a boxing match or any sport. But I would say as a young child in my family, my mom is the oldest of 8. So all my aunts and uncles and cousins, World Cup was always a party. Like, yes. And when Colombia played, oh my God. And so I just talking about it, I get so excited to see what sports has to offer. And so I think from that young age of seeing the impact that tourism does, and when you can travel and the impact that sports has, because the one thing I love about sports and travel, you can be going through so many things, but when you're at a game and you're cheering for your team, whether you're in Spain, so what part of state are you from?
I'm from Valencia. Yeah, I'm from Valencia. Yeah.
So what's your favorite team in Spain? Soccer team?
It's difficult to say. I have only brothers. So 2 of them, they are from Real Madrid. One is from Barcelona. So I've been supporting the one who is from Barcelona just because he was alone in the house.
Got it. So when you go see a Barcelona game, and you're cheering, you forget about everything, right? Like you, all of a sudden, it no longer comes to mind like what you're dealing with. For that 2 hours, you can escape the world and just be there cheering for that team. And so that is how my culture, my background has given me such a fascination for sports and tourism.
Beautiful. So tell us about how you take that to professional, because I could feel the passion, but you know what? A lot of people, they don't realize the possibility that your passions becoming a business. And I would like you to explain that, particularly for a lot of people who have a lot of hobbies and passions like you, and they would like to transfer that into the business world.
Absolutely. So my career started in tourism. I was very blessed because when I was in high school, my high school had a program called the Academy of Hospitality and Tourism. And so in order to graduate from the program, you had to do an internship. And I did an internship at the Broward County Convention Center in Fort Lauderdale, and I fell in love with the tourism industry. I was like, wait, I get to travel. Although that's later on in your career. You don't start traveling right away. So I had to do like all the jobs, like, work my way up to be able to travel. And so I became, my dream job was when I became the senior director for tourism development for NYC and Company, which is the official tourism office for New York. And I was the senior director for Spain, Latin America, and the US Hispanic market. So I had 6 international offices that I had to oversee in Spain, Colombia, Argentina, Brazil, Mexico, and Chile. Mm-hmm. And we were promoting New York City. And so you can already imagine, like, that's just a dream job. And next thing you know, I get recruited on LinkedIn by the Brooklyn Nets. The NBA say that they are looking for a person to be their first ever director of global tourism development. And wow. I was like, thank you, but I love my job. Yo de aquí no me voy. I am staying here. I'm good. And so, you know, when like it's something that keeps on going in your mind and you're like, man, what could the opportunities be? What happens if I take this? Oh, I was so confused. So long story short, after speaking to my former CEO at NYC and Company, Fred Dixon, he goes, Luisa, as much as I hate to lose you because you are one of the greatest things that has happened to our organization and you have helped us grow those markets you're responsible for by leaps and bounds. I would be so selfish if I don't give you this opportunity to take this leap of faith, go out and fly. The worst that can happen is that you hate it and you can always come back home. So I did. I spread my wings. I took the leap and I went to work for the Brooklyn Nets. And when I went to work for the NBA, it was amazing because I love sports and it was phenomenal to be able to travel the entire world. I was now director of global tourism development. So I was going to Europe and Australia and Asia and Latin America. And I was like, this is huge. But I saw that there was a bigger opportunity because what happened was the US Travel Association flew to New York and they said to me, Luisa, out of all of the sports teams in the United States, only 5 teams have a pillar that has a tourism vertical. And of those 5 teams, only 1 team hired a tourism expert, and that was you. And I couldn't believe it. So they asked me to speak to all of the sports teams, and I spoke to all of the sports teams to share the impact that tourism has on sports, how 24% of international travelers that come to the US want to see a sporting event. And wow. That number actually increased to 37% from 2018 to 2019. And I said, if you need any help, you have a sister here in Brooklyn ready to help. And my phones went crazy. Teams from all the leagues were calling me. And then on the other hand, I was traveling to different trade shows, Fitur in España, WTM in London. And they were like, Luisa, we need access to more teams. You get what it is to work with the tourism industry. So I realized that I could start my own business. And that's when GTSE, Global Tourism, Sports and Entertainment, started. And it was really to bridge the gap between sports and tourism because there's such a disconnect.
It's a great angle and a brilliant idea, actually. So tell us, how did you do when COVID? I mean, what happened with the COVID times? Because tourism finished, all of these sports events. So it really impacted your business somehow.
Oh, you cannot even imagine. So February 2020, mm-hmm. I go on Univision. I launched the company in January.
Wow.
February, I go on Univision, which is the largest network here in the United States, as the first Hispanic female in the United States to create a global tourism, sports, and entertainment company. I am traveling to the West Coast. I'm meeting with different teams. We're getting ready to sign 6-figure deals. March 13th, the world stops. I was actually supposed to go to Spain. I was going to go to Madrid and Barcelona on March 14th, but that was the last trip that got canceled. And then I got COVID. And when I got extremely sick, that I was so ill, I had no strength to even lift my hands up. I realized that at that moment, that the most important thing was to be alive, to be breathing, And that if I could wake up every day and open my eyes, it was a good day. Everything else would take care of itself. I just needed to be alive. So as a single mom who takes care of my daughter, who's 12 years old, and my mom and my dad, I take care of them as well, because I promised them that I would retire them and I would take care of them after everything they sacrificed when I was 4 to come from Colombia to the United States. They were always my why, the reason why I was like, this is going to work itself out. We're going to do this. And so I took that time to dig deeper and understand and create focus groups with the sports teams and the tourism industry to understand what were the biggest problems. Why could these two industries why was it so hard for them to work together to create better solutions that would impact the entire sports industry in the United States and not just a few teams? And so we did that. And, in the midst of all of that, I hired a business coach, and Marcus Ogden, a former NFL player who went from an NFL player to becoming literally a janitor because he lost everything and he picked himself up again. And I was like, that's my dude. I need somebody that has seen fame, has lost everything, and picked themselves back up, because that's how I felt at that moment. Like, I was on Univision. I was like, my business was about to take off, and then the world stopped. And I was like, what do I do now? And so I created multiple streams of revenue. GTSE is back. It's getting ready. Like, we just got a huge agreement with the US Travel Association to be the first sports ambassador and tourism representation company for them. And a lot of exciting things are happening, but we also started other companies so that I don't put all my eggs in one basket. And so that's been I think we all heard last year, you have to diversify and expand your portfolio. And I'm proof that it is possible.
Wow. I mean, what an inspiration words that you mentioned to us. And I think for a lot of people that probably suffering in the same crossroads right now, what you will say to them? What advice you will give them? What is your takes of this situation?
Certainly. I would say, for those that have lost everything during COVID, or they've had to shut down their business, or are thinking, how do I survive? I would ask yourself, what is it that you're most passionate about? Because when you're passionate about something, people can feel it. I can't sit here and sell you this pen and tell you how great it is, because I don't care about this pen. But when you are passionate about what you do, people will sense that. And so it's finding what our calling and our purpose is. I would also say, surround yourself by people who have been able to surpass the storm, because we are an average of the 5 people that we most hang around with. So put yourself next to people that are like, we're going to get through this. I've gotten through this, and not people that are like, the world is going to end and let me just hide in my little cocoon, right? Like, that is not going to help you. The third thing I would say is invest in yourself. Get a business coach. Listen to different amazing business coaches, whether it's Tony Robbins. I attended his Unleash the Power Within seminar last year, and it was a huge transformation for me. And lastly, I would say, try to see how you can create different streams of revenue. Because when everything went crazy last year, I started focusing on Oprah Winfrey, Tony Robbins, Mark Cuban, and Elon Musk. And in addition to all of them being successful and wealthy, they also come from humble beginnings, many of them very tough beginnings. Like, we know Oprah Winfrey's, her background is just, I get chills just when I think about what she went through to get to where she is today. But the one thing, if we notice, is that they don't all put all their eggs in one basket. They have different ways of getting revenue. Oprah, she has her network, she has her magazine, she has all of these different things. So how can you create different streams of revenue so that if one industry is hit hard, you still can balance and have another one? And that's why in the midst of GTSE, we said, let's build a digital marketing agency, because we knew digital marketing was going to take off. And that's some of the examples. And if you would have asked me last year in January 2020, fast forward to September 2nd, 2021, that I would have 4 companies, I would have been like, you're crazy. No, because one felt like it was so much. So to be a serial entrepreneur and have multiple companies today, is it hard work? Yes. But I always say, work hard now and play later. That was my philosophy in college. When I was taking 7 classes a semester, I had professors call my house and tell me that I was insane, that I was going to crash and burn. And I said, I'm sorry, but my dad is 72. I need to retire my dad. I don't have time. And I was just like flying through college, and then I could enjoy my career years. And right now I feel like that I'm back at it. You know, I start at 5 in the morning. I go to 10 o'clock at night, sometimes midnight, but I know it's like a baby. The first year is the hardest. And then hopefully, knock on wood, you know, a few years from now, I can be enjoying the fruits of my hard work.
Beautiful. Wow. Love to hear that. So just to wrap up, can you tell us what it means for you, human connected with the spirit to serve? Because that's how you define yourself in your LinkedIn. And I was very curious to know what that means.
When you say, when I write that I'm a human connector with the spirit to serve, there is nothing that I love more than being able to connect with people and being able to connect others, right? Because that's when the magic happens, when you can open doors for others. And so having a spirit to serve, it's not about me. It's about you. It's about us. It's about humanity. And if I can serve the world and I can be a source of inspiration, then I feel like I am doing what I've been called in this world. And that's how I even launched one of my companies, which is Luisa Mendoza Inspires, because I just want to share. I want to inspire little girls that look like us, that think, is it possible? Yes, it is possible. All things are possible if you have the courage to follow your dreams. So that's where being a human connector with the spirit to serve comes into play.
Wow, what a beautiful way to just wrap up this conversation and to really be inspired, because we all humans should be here to serve, and serving others is the best way to live anyway. So thank you so much, Luisa. We definitely share your passion. You really has been able through the camera to really express it. So thank you for that today. It was a pleasure really to speak with you.
Thank you so much. Pleasure was mine y muchísimas gracias.
Te vemos pronto. Gracias.
Okay, gracias.